there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more, worldwide TV entertainment, iHeartRadio, Pandora, iHeart, worldwide TV network, women on TV.tv, and iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. So this is a special show. All right, Serge, I've been waiting for this interview with you for 2 weeks. Let's talk about who you are, what you've been doing. And I want to let's start off with your stamp. Let's talk about why the country of Canada is honoring you. Isn't that a great honor?
It's a fantastic honor. It's, when you never think about those things while you're doing stuff, but when it happens, it's touching. It's like, okay, something's working.
Well, obviously something did work. I mean, but I'm thinking about it. How do you get your own stand? How do you even get nominated for that? How does that happen?
I don't know. I didn't take care of it. I just got the news about it. I never checked those things out, but it happened, and the symphonic album is just going nuts. It's selling everywhere. It's it's great. It's just a great time.
How's that feel knowing that your music is doing so well around the world, especially this time? Because a lot of people didn't have a good last year. They didn't have a good 2 years. But music is something that's been bringing everybody back. Music industry, the movie industry is still suffering. They say box office doing good, but it's not. I know, I've been in the theaters. People are still afraid. But the music business, I've always said that was going to bring everything back, and it has.
I totally agree with you. It's an invisible force, music. And that's where the magic is, and everybody can relate, everybody can do its thing with it. So I did a lot of albums in French, because I'm French Quebecer. And so with the language, there's a kind of a barrier somewhere. If people don't understand the words, but whatever. But now with this symphonic thing, doing the 3 albums of Harmonium, which was my group, there's no words. So it's just the space and the mood of the music. And we didn't think it would do that well. We think it could, but it did. So we're all very surprised about it and very happy, very happy.
Is it unusual to wanting to maybe start to go on tour again for where you are in Montreal, because Canada's been locked down for the longest time based on what you're doing? How has that been for you mentally, especially writing?
Well, I don't tour anymore.
Right.
So,
but that doesn't stop people asking you going on tour, though,
No, it's like, that's every day. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, because I should, but I can't anymore. I did it and I overdid it. And now I'm into a lot other stuff, So I'm just, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, and the fact that the people are still there without me touring, but they get the album and they listen to it. Well, I have the same feeling with the audience. There's a closeness, even if we're not there physically.
What do you want people to know about this album now? Because you put a lot of work into this. That's why it's doing well. But what do you want the people who may not know you, your career, what do you want them to know about your music?
Okay, so the music of that album is, like I said, is the music of all 3 albums of Harmonium.
Yeah.
And while I was doing it, when I was a kid, when I was writing it, I didn't know that there was that much classical lines and melodies and stuff in what I was doing. And so there is, because Simon Leclerc, the arranger, took all of that music, which is like 2 hours and 15 minutes of music, and rearranged that for a symphony with the Montreal Orchestra. There's a lot of records that were done classically, but the singer was still there, and and for me that was I'm not criticizing it, but just for me it wasn't a format that I would enjoy. The fact that now it's totally pure music and atmosphere is so amazing. The job that he did with it. It's like a soundtrack. It's like a long soundtrack. It's very visual, very moody, you know, and incredibly written. It's you know, like 80-piece musician choir and a choir. So me, it's just like I'm in shock. I was in shock to hear all my music being treated that way. See, like it's huge. It's just huge. I was sitting in the hall, a symphonic hall in Montreal while it was recorded, and I just kept crying. Just I couldn't believe it. And I'm still stunned. Sometimes people put it on where I am, and I'm gone. I'm listening to it I'm listening to it like it's not even my music. It's just the mood of it, you know.
So for the people who may not know who you are, how would you describe you? How would you describe how you started as that kid way back, where it was just a dream of doing your music? What would you say?
I'm a lucky guy. I would start from there, because I was 20 when we started the band, and right away it just picked up, went nuts. You know, when you sell 200,000 copies in Quebec, it's just huge. It's like platinum, you know. And so it went there like viral. And then the tour was like 200 dates a year, and it was amazing. It was just, and then we started touring Canada. You know, we do a whole week in Toronto, 3 nights in Vancouver, Winnipeg, all over. We did it all over. Some part of the States, Europe. You're just going into it because it's happening so fast. That it's just a gift of life. And you keep pinching yourself, because it's like, what? What happened? I never thought I'd be a musician. I wanted to be a recording engineer. And it was because I was in the studio learning stuff. A guitar player was missing, and they asked me to do it, and bang, I never went back, you know.
Yeah, but that explains a lot of things. That means you could see things, you could hear things, you could see how everything was on, because you were that recording artist. Anybody who's been in that recording artist can tell you it's an important job, but you can also, the band's relying on your ear and your taste. That's very important. That makes a lot of sense.
That's very well said, because I'm more playing with sounds than music. For me, it's the most important thing. Even live, I would make the band practice, and it was like really more setting the volume and the sound and the placement than anything else. That's what I play with. That's what I sing with. It has to be, the audio has to be very, very surrounding. You know, it's like an envelope. It's like takes you in your arms. Then the rest happens alone. It just happens, you know. If you're too, if you're not conscious about it, I find that it creates maybe arrangements and music that are very 2D instead of 3D. There's something flat about it, you know, and it all sounds the same. A lot of albums sound the same, and I'm not pretentious saying that. Just like I said, I'm a lucky guy. That's it.
Well, you remind me of marching in a drum and bugle corps, which is my number one love. It was about how the percussion would sound and how the brass would sound. And then they have their own sections, and then you put them together and you make beautiful music. And then, you know, I remember playing Chuck Mangione or playing, you know, Shostakovich. That's how I learned classical music. It was from that I was taught it. And then I went back and listened to the originals. I'm like, oh, this is what it really sounds like. And that was fascinating to me. So when I hear your music, it reminds me of that, like that. It is such a special honor to do that, because I get it.
Oh, thank you. That's again, that's very well said. Thanks. But and you know, when we recorded it, we were in full pandemic mode. So we were in the hall, and usually the musicians, like a string section, are all sitting close to each other.
Yep.
It wasn't allowed. So we had to stretch the stage 20 feet in the hall over the seats to make 6 feet between every musician. But what that did is that it completely forced the musician to create a move to play with the other guy, you know? But Simon Leclerc directing it, I mean, the percussion was 100 feet far away from him. Wow. So imagine pulling the tightness and it's an amazing job. It's just, and for the recording, the mics you have to use because they're not all together. And it's just astounding. And we had 16 hours to do it. You know, it's 2 hours and a half of music.
Wow.
So it's like a little miracle. You know, when we got in, we were so nervous because is this gonna work? See? Like you never know, but everybody pulled together. It was just great. The musicians were happy to play it. They hadn't played with each other in 8 months, and you know, everybody was there, like just going for it. And then by the time we got to the mix, when we heard the tracks back, it was just incredible. It was just like this wall of beautiful sound. And so then we knew, then we took a little scotch and, and a cigar, just like, yeah, you know. So for me, it's the most touching adventure I've been on.
When you started, who were some of your influencers? Who were some of the people that you looked up to, that you wanted to emulate or be around?
Okay, well, first of all, I was born with the Beatles. It's just that's the genius of our time. It's just amazing. When you're a kid, you're 12-year-old, and I remember seeing them on Ed Sullivan, and I was crying, and my parents, what's the matter? And I told them, you don't understand what's going on here. This is changing music, and this is changing the world. This is a phenomenon, you know, like incredible. So I went on that, and I would listen to them all day, you know, and then so that's for the writing and all that. But then I saw Led Zeppelin at the Forum on their first time they came to Montreal, and that was the show of it. That was the show side of it. That was like they're like gods, you know. Like, it's just amazing. And I remember sitting in the street in front of the Forum until 4 a.m. It was just blasted. That was like, so there was the Beatles, the music, Led Zeppelin music and show. And then I got really into writing on another side, and that was Joni Mitchell. I saw an interview of her where she said she never writes an idea like linear. I got up this morning and blah, blah, blah. She says, for me, writing is like a movie. There's a camera on the right, on the left, up there, down there, in front. So I see all kinds of way of describing what I'm trying to say. And that's why her poetry is so amazing. And that won me. That, like, I started writing that way. You know, she showed me how to write for me, see? And then the prog era came in, like Genesis and all that, and that was the cake. It was like going places where nobody was going before. So it was a mixture of that, acoustic and pop and writing and rock and roll and prog. You know, it's like I was flooded by it. But the other problem is I was writing in French. And French is a very hard sounding language. It's beautiful, but to do rock and roll with it is really hard because we're identified to English. English is made for that. It was created with that, you know?
Yeah.
But French is really hard. So it took me a couple of years to find the right sounds, you know, because you're still singing notes and sounds. So it took me a couple of years.
Well, you're going to love the documentary on Led Zeppelin. I saw it. It was the debut at the Toronto Film Festival. You're gonna love it. It comes out within like the next month. So
Hey.
yeah, that'll make you happy.
I mean, I go on YouTube all the time, and I find all kind of stuff where they play, let's say, in 26 minutes, or then there's another thing, and then I'm mental. I just go, my God, there are three musicians, one singer. It sounds like a ton of bricks, and it's like it's so creative. It's so Jimmy Page is Mr. Riff, is Mr. Everything he touches, even the beginning of the song, you know which song you're in, you know exactly where he can go, and he goes. I remember at the forum again, he said, he can't play those solos live. It's just, it's like, and he's there right in front of the stage, kicking you in the head. It's just like, so all that is a strength, you know, that as a kid, you want to live it. And if you have a chance to go on stage, you want to give that to people. You want to make them enjoy the time you're spending with them, and they're spending with you, because it's a great, you think about it, it's the biggest honor of people going from their home, their place, coming to you in your hall and paying to make you live. So it's just, when you reverse the thinking, it's like you can't be lazy on a stage. You just can't. You can't trick people. You're not allowed to. When I see concerts where they seem like they don't want to be there. Well, don't be there. You know, that's it. That's it.
I felt the same way when I first saw Rush. I didn't know who they were, but I, being that drummer, I said, and then I saw Neil Peart, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is great. Did he march in a drum corps? How do you play all that stuff like that? And then he became and I saw it straight. Everybody, and I was the only Black guy there out of 20,000 people in Hartford, Connecticut. And I got dragged there. I didn't know who Rush was. I'm like, a band named Rush? What? And then I was just on him like, wow, look at that drum set. I'm like, wow, I felt what you were talking about as you described Led Zeppelin.
He was a machine. He was first of all, an amazing individual, and but a machine. You know, at the festival, the summer festival in Quebec City, I was there for the festival, so I could see their sound check. So Neil Peart would go on his drum and just test all the drums. But then he would go totally nuts and just start playing a solo. And you're like, oh, okay. I have to go back to school. I think I have to, you know, just amazing.
Well, when this film comes out, he looks like Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks is playing him. So next time you see a picture of Tom Hanks and Neil Peart, they look alike. So really? Tom is gonna be playing Neil in a film. I don't know when it's coming out, but they started working on it about 2 years ago when Neil was still alive.
How's Tom gonna play it?
That's the question. Who knows? Because no one can play like Neil, you know?
No, and you can't even mimic it. You can't.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah. Last question. What do you want people to know about you, of all the work that you've done? What would you say to those new people who want to study your work, who want to emulate and maybe be like you one day? What do you say to them?
Again, I'm on the other side. It's just a privilege. It's just a privilege to make those people feel better and good and have a peaceful moment. So the writing I did since I was a kid was all inspired for that. So anything you're going to listen of me, I hope, you know, but I think it works that I can open up that space, you know, in our head and in my head. I mean, I worked on me You know, I don't have pretension. I worked on me, and it opened some doors in me. And and I know that people tell me when they meet me in the street, you know, that song was in that period when they did that stuff, and they'd say, that's the gift. That's the gift, and the albums are there, and I wish people will listen to it. It's just the biggest privilege anybody can have.
How do fans reach out to you? Do you have social media links people can keep in contact with you or watch what you're doing?
Yeah, I had Facebook, Instagram, everything, but I couldn't take care of it. There was too many stuff. I couldn't answer to everybody. So I had somebody do it for me, which is not nice and it's not right. But the biggest way, it's when I go out. It's when I go in a restaurant, I go on the street, go shopping, I go whatever. It's like a bunch of people coming in and talking to me. Like, we've known each other forever and asking me questions. How do you do that? How do you do this? And so
that says that you've touched all of their lives, and that's an honor. That's what that says. And that's what that means. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's what I was saying. It's a privilege and an honor for me to do that in people. I always never think it's going to do that. When I was 18, I would play in bars with, cha-cha-cha, and something happened, just happened. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't really have no idea where it came from, but it stayed on. So here I am.
Well, like I said, congratulations with all you've done. Much more success for you. I'm going to get this out on my end for all those people who may not know what you are and what you've done, to make sure that they understand who you are and what you've done. And as I always say to people when I end, if you see somebody without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. And thank you so much for coming out, because you didn't have to do this. It's such an honor.
Come on. I want to thank you, because you see me, those both sides, where you are, where I am. That's what we're talking about. That the fact that you're interested, the fact that I can, and I know what you do also, is just great for me. So I really thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.